We're here today. It's brilliantly exciting because today we're starting on this excavation. And what I'm really hoping we're going to find is the foundations of the medieval cloister.
I think today's very exciting. We've just lifted the first stone for the archaeological dig. And the reason I think it's important is that this is renewing the cathedral for the 21st century.
What we need our cloister to do is get everybody from the cathedral to the chapter house and the Pearson building in comfort, safely, and providing access for all. So we're going to have a lift in there and have really comfortable stairs. We hope to have space for exhibition and art and make that space really a usable space for this century.
The background to it is that the cloisters have undergone enormous dramatic changes over the centuries, and the medieval cloister, which joined together all the medieval buildings, was actually demolished in the 17th century. In the course of the Civil War, the dean and the chapter and the bishop were all dissolved, and the new regime decided there would be no further need for cloisters. So they knocked down the old cloisters, sold off the stone, and instead they put the cloisters to what they thought was a useful purpose. They put little houses in between the buttresses, and they built a yarn market, which is partly still there. When Charles II came back in the 1660s, they were booted out, and ever since then the cloisters have operated without any covered connection between all the different buildings. In Victorian times, they made a start putting back the medieval arrangement. They built a very handsome library with a covered walkway underneath in the medieval style. And the intention in late Victorian times was to connect everything together and build a proper medieval cloister so that they got back to where they were in the Middle Ages. We're also keen to find evidence of the layout of the medieval cloister so that we can follow the rhythm of the medieval cloister design and reuse the foundations if we can, and achieve something which will be in keeping with the grand medieval buildings around it.
So we're 10 days into the excavation and it's going really well. Where I'm standing at the moment is in the east walk, what would have been the corridor. Behind me is the wall remains that we've exposed with buttresses and really deep foundations, so quite substantial structure it would have been below where I'm standing. And what we've exposed fantastically is about 8 stone-lined graves. The position where we are in front of the chapter house suggests that there'd be quite high status.
We're trying to build this link corridor, this Cloister Gallery, on the site of the medieval cloister, following the rhythms of the medieval cloister, in order to join up the buildings and to make the chapter house an integral part of the cathedral and the cafe and the shop an integral part of the cathedral, and to allow us to use the buildings more effectively, both for our sort of cathedral purposes and to give a better experience to our visitors. At the moment, we've had this development grant from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, for which we're immensely grateful. I have to say, we were very fortunate to get it just when we did, because COVID-19 came along, and now the National Lottery Heritage Fund aren't giving grants, so we leapt in just in time. And they've given us a development grant to work up our project. And that's very complicated with a building like this, a medieval cathedral. You have to get permissions, you have to do archaeology, you have to do all sorts of research. So you've got a project that you can make happen and that you can get permission for. Once we've got the plans drawn up and we've decided what it is that we really want to do, knowing the facts, then we have to apply for a second round of funding. But also, the lottery only give us 70% of the funding. We've got to find the rest. And that's a challenge at the moment, as you can imagine, because some people have a lot less money available. So fundraising is always a challenge for a cathedral. It's a particular challenge at the moment, but we've been fortunate to get the lottery. We're very blessed that the Prince of Wales has agreed to be patron of our appeal, so we're hopeful that the wind's in our favour and that we're going to succeed.
Well, as we stand here and we look along this foundation and look up, we can see the abandoned end of Pearson's cloister of the 1880s, and you can see Pearson got the line right. He knew where the masonry must have been underground, and you can see that our intention is to carry on 140 or so years after Pearson.
So we're really hoping that it will invigorate the Cloister Garth and make this whole area a place that thrives alongside the cathedral.